who curse and revile the companions. That's when people come along, have a bridging gap between Sunni and Shia. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to bridge a gap between people who curse and revile the companions, who make takfir upon them, who classify them as disbelievers, say they're treacherous, they were hypocrites, they had a secret agenda, they betrayed the messenger. It's very difficult for a simple Muslim to come and sit on a table and say, you know what, let's put our differences aside. So the Muslims come along and say there's no big debate between Sunnis and Shias. There's a great big debate. A great big debate. And I said if you pick up any book on Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah, you'll always find the concluding chapters or chapter talking about what? Love for the companions of the Prophet Muhammad. Why? Why have ulama of Aqeedah placed these chapters there? Because they show the distinction between who is Ahl Sunnah and those people who deviate away from them. The first individual that we find is Abu Bakr As-Siddque radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Where can you begin and where can you end about this individual? The messenger said about him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لو كنت متخذا خليلا لاتخذت أبا بكر. If I was to take a close, intimate friend, I would have taken Abu Bakr. But the reason why I didn't take him as a Khalil, because Khalil means close, intimate friend, walakin sahibi, but my companion, my comrade, my friend, and he's my brother in faith. Why did you not take him as a Khalil, as a close friend? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the Prophet Muhammad as a close friend. Two individuals have been taken as close friends. وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took Ibrahim alayhi salam as a close, intimate friend, and likewise the Prophet Muhammad. So now if Allah is your friend, is close to you, you can't have any human being close to you. So thus he didn't choose Abu Bakr to be his close friend. Even though he was his close friend, he was always with him. As Allama Iqbal mentioned his famous lines of poetry, in Urdu, he mentioned that even in the time of Bakr, the cave, the Battle of Badr, Qabr, the Battle of Badr and the grave, they're both always together. Wherever you find the Prophet, you find who? You find Abu Bakr. Always together they are throughout their lives. When he was asked to the Prophet Muhammad, who is the most beloved person to you? Who's the most beloved person to the Hadith in Bukhari? You know what he said? What did he say? Allah said Aisha. He said, who's the most beloved person to you? Qala Aisha radiyallahu anha. Qala wa min ar-rijal, from amongst the men. Who do you love amongst the men? He didn't say Abu Bakr. Abuha, her father. He didn't say Abu Bakr. He said her father is who? Abu Bakr. So even then he's still giving credit to who? To Aisha before he refers it back to Abu Bakr. So the most beloved individual amongst the women is Aisha. Amongst the men is Abu Bakr As-Siddque radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who shared the same background as the Prophet Muhammad, stayed away from the vices. As we find at the right about Abu Bakr, فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الْخَمْرَ فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. He gave khamr, alcohol was haram, he made it haram upon himself in Jahiliyyah. Classified as haram, and coming in front of the idols and statues, unlike some of the other companions talk about, inshallah, Umar, etc. It was a normal practice for them, but he made it haram upon himself. So he had a pure life. And that's why even that name Siddiq, that title that was given to him, other people have mentioned that his name was Abdul Ka'aba, which was some people don't accept that Al-Atiq, the one who liberated from the fire. But if you find Siddiq, the title that was given to him, for what reason was it given to him? It's because there was no taraddud, there was no hesitation. When he was told about Islam, some companions said, let us go and think about it, let us ponder about it. And the Prophet Siddiq instantly, knowing that this is his close friend, he's lived most of his life with him, this person is not a liar, he's not making something up. So he quickly accepted it. And so when the Quraysh came and started trying to tarnish and say, look, this friend of yours trying to say he went all the way and he made the night journey all the way to Bayt al-Maqdis to Palestine, then he came back and he went up to the heavens. How can you believe him? Look at this, how you know it's a month's journey from here, from Makkah all the way to Palestine. It's a month's journey there, a month's journey back. There was no supersonic jets or whatever we have today, or Concorde, whatever it may be. How did he go there so fast? But what does the Quran say? Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-aqsa ila al-masjid al-haram. إلى المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى لنريه من آياتنا. Praise be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I took his servant from Masjid al-Haram, from the Kaaba, from Haram, all the way to Masjid al-Aqsa, to the furthest masjid, to show him our signs. So Abu Bakr said that if this is what the Prophet Muhammad said, then I don't doubt that. Because he tells me information which is far further than that, farther than this location. He brings me news from where? From the heavens, which is far further than Masjid al-Aqsa. If I believe the revelation that he brings, why should I doubt this that he's bringing to me? So thus we find that the Quran mentions both of them being together. Inside Surah At-Tawbah that you find, إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ. When both of them were inside the cave. Huma is muthanna, is Jew. Two of them were inside the cave, two individuals inside the cave. إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ. One of them says to his comrade, لَا تَحْزَنْ, don't fear, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا, don't grieve, don't be sad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. These ayat inside the Quran are referring to who? To Abu Bakr. The Shia are going to come along and say, no, it's talking about Ali. When was Ali in the cave with the Prophet Muhammad? The Quran is clear, you cannot deny it. They both of them are inside the cave together. According to all the books of Seerah, we all know the story. As young boys being taught the Seerah, reading Seerah, we all know that Prophet Muhammad went into the cave with Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr felt scared, worried. If the Quraysh look, they're going to recognize them and see them. And that's when the messenger said, La tahsan, don't fear, inna Allah ma'ana, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with us. So this is from Tafsir, the Quran here is talking about Abu Bakr As-Siddque. Ibn al-Jawzi Tafsir, he mentions, الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى فلسوف يرضى. These ayat was the end of Surah Al-Layl. Ibn al-Jawzi's Tafsir, he mentioned these ayat are talking about who? Abu Bakr As-Siddque radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. These ayat about him, the one who's spending his wealth to seek any purification and get taqarrub ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Abu Bakr As-Siddque, when he heard the message, he remained and he committed and devoted. As we find in the books of Seerah, ulama, Tariq, history, they mention that the first individual to become a Muslim was Abu Bakr As-Siddque. The first individual from amongst the men who accepted Islam, and then you find his efforts of calling the people around him. And we know that he used to spend his money in freeing of slaves. Bilal, that we find, Abu Bakr, he came and he said, name your price, and began to increase the price, and eventually paid the price to liberate, to free him. So this was the efforts of Abu Bakr As-Siddiq that we find throughout his life, spending his wealth to help the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Find the battle of Tabuk, if I'm not mistaken, Umar came one day, and he thought that today I've outdone Abu Bakr As-Siddiq, and he asked, how much of your wealth have you bought? He said, I bought half of my wealth, and left half of my wealth at home for my family, etc. He said, today I'll outdo this individual. So when they asked, what did Abu Bakr bring? What did you bring? What did you leave behind? What did you leave behind at home? I left Allah and His Messenger at home. Umar said that there was no way of me ever beating this individual. He would always outstrip me. I do something, he'd go further. I do this, he'd do that. And thus you find that all of the gates of paradise are going to call out for who? For Abu Bakr As-Siddiq. There's different gates. Bab al-Rayyan, Bab of fasting, Bab of Siyam, Bab of this, Bab of that. They'll call out each different individual. Some people get specialized in doing one thing, or they exert their efforts in doing certain action, which is great, which is excellent, alhamdulillah. But will there be somebody who will be called from every single door? Yes, there will be. That will be Abu Bakr As-Siddiq. Who amongst you in the morning is fasting? Ana ya Rasulullah. I am a messenger of Allah. Who amongst you has given charity today? I have, a messenger. Who amongst you has followed the funeral prayer? I have. Who amongst you has done this? I have. Every time a question is posed, Abu Bakr As-Siddiq has already done it. Done and dusted, as they say. Done it. So any avenue of khair, he's always doing it in his life. To show his loyalty, obviously first towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then towards the Prophet Muhammad and his devotion, his commitment. That's why you find that no individual is benefiting as much as Abu Bakr. And that's why he said that all the doors, let them be closed, except for the door of Abu Bakr. Because I can never repay back Abu Bakr what he done in my life. And that's why when a woman came and asked the Prophet Muhammad and said that, if after you're not here, I don't find you, what should I do? Meaning she's asking that maybe you could pass away, you could leave this world, what should I do? What did the Messenger highlight? He said, if you don't find me, come to who? Come to Abu Bakr. What does that show? That the next individual to be in charge of the Muslim Ummah is Abu Bakr. And likewise, no individual led the prayer, only one other companion led the prayer that we find, but who officially led the prayer, whilst the Prophet Muhammad was present, was who? Abu Bakr As-Siddque. Leading of the prayer is the ultimate sign of being the Khalifa. Unlike today that we find Khalifa, this, that, and the other that we find, doesn't mean anything. The Khalifa, the Imam is the one who's the most well-versed individual of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most. Unlike today that we find whoever gets in authority, they said, put them there, no problem, they don't know nothing about deen, don't know nothing about dunya as well. That's it, they just push their way, bully their way inside there. You can see what's happening to them eventually, one by one, after the 30, 40 years of corruption. But the real Khalifa, the real Imam is the one who has the people's interests at heart. Thus you find that Abu Bakr As-Siddiq, when he came into that position, and he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that indeed this is a great big responsibility. What people are going to be asking for me, and thus we find that when he was in that position, he would still go out and buy and sell. Being a merchant by profession, he would go out and still buy and sell. I almost said to him, how can you go out and buy and sell? He said, well, I have to earn a living. So what did they say? They said, take out the money from Baytul Mal and give it to him. So he doesn't need to go out and work, so he can get on with the work that he's doing. So from 6,000 odd dinar or dirham, whatever it was, he had collected it all together. And when he's just about to pass away, what did he do? He said to Aisha, take that money and give it away in charity. So even the money that they gave him, he just kept it together. I said, give it away. That wasn't his intent of being here. And thus we find that a lot of the spreading of Islam that we find, at the beginning of what's known as the golden years before the beginning of Umar, we find was the time of Abu Bakr. Because he had great insight. Thus we find that his ranking, his position is mentioned far higher than Umar at times. That's when the Prophet Muhammad left this world that we find. Umar went ballistic saying that it's not possible, the Prophet has died, he's left this world, he's gone to meet Allah. Just like Musa went to meet Allah. He's going to return after 30 days or 40 days. It was only Abu Bakr As-Siddiq. You can see many people say that he was emotional. When he lead the prayer, he weep often in the prayer. So that's when Aisha mentioned, don't let him lead the prayer. Emotions overcome him. But just because he's emotional, it doesn't mean you can override his judgment, or he's a weak individual. In the battle of Bakr that you find, when he faced his own son, Abdul Rahman, if I'm not mistaken, his son said to him, you know, oh my father, I saw you many times in the battle, and I was hasty to take your life. Because my love and my affection, you're my father. You know what Abu Bakr said to him? If I had seen you even once, I would not hesitate to chop off your head. Don't make no difference. Son or no son, you're in the ranks of who? The disbelievers. You have to go. Finish. So don't think that some people try to portray maybe emotional or soft individual. He said, if I saw you, my son, I wouldn't hesitate to take your life. You hesitated. Good luck to you, you hesitated. But I would not hesitate to take your life if I saw you in the battlefield. And likewise, at the time of the death of the Prophet Muhammad, when he came and he heard the news, he came riding in. Umar is going mad, he's going crazy. Any individual says that he's died, I'm going to chop off their head, amputate the head, finish. I'm not going to tolerate it. Abu Bakr As-Siddiq came, composed himself, came, lifted the garment, the shawl, over the blessed face of the Prophet Muhammad said, and he was blessed whilst he was living, and you're blessed whilst you left this world. How beautiful you was upon this world, and how beautiful now you left this world, and kissed him on his forehead. Umar is still wailing, crying, shouting. And what did he announce? أَلَا مَنْ كَانَ يَعْبُدُ مُحَمَّدًا فَإِنَّ مُحَمَّدًا قَدْ مَاتَ وَمَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ حَيٌّ لَا يَمُوتُ. Whoever amongst you worships Muhammad, your Muhammadans, as the Orientalists they write, and unfortunately we have some Muslims who worship the Prophet Muhammad, whoever amongst you worships him, then he has left this world. Whoever worships Allah, فَإِنَّ